Okay, so what I'm going to do is give you some information on what not to do. So this is the hydro boost that I put on. That I replaced the seal inside the cylinder bore that piston slides in on. Number one is the seal has some lips on it down inside, and they need to be pointing towards the firewall when you put that seal in there. So the first time I took this apart, I had to reverse that seal and put it back together. Now, what I didn't know was the second issue that I had. Once I got it back together, I started the truck up. The brake pedal would go to the floor with pressure and would stay there. The only time that I could get it to come up was when I turned the truck off. So, further investigation shows this right here. This part fell out along with this part when I took it apart, not knowing that there's more to this than just these two items. This is a junkyard one. If you could see that little bitty ball in there, and that little bitty retainer has come off of this one here, well, that's like a check valve in there, and by doing that it messes up your brake booster. So what you do is don't make the same mistake that I made and lost this little retainer along with that little ball in there. That ball goes through, and you can actually see it there. It actually has a little stem on it right in the middle of that. Very, very, very important. So luckily, went to the junkyard again, found a hydro boost that's not like this. This part here is different, but this part here was the same. The Chevy Astrovan has like a 45-degree angle. It points downward, but the piston looks the same. All of this here is the same, so FYI on that. So this item goes in this hole right here. There's a little indent on that little piece of plastic. That's where that check ball goes. So now I'm going to take the junkyard one, and it slides right down in there, just like that. Push it in. It's got a little seal on it. Just push it in place, and you're good to go. So keep that in mind when you're taking yours apart. Don't lose that. Now you can get on eBay. You get a full set of seals, and this included. It might be wise just go ahead and do that instead of doing what I did, which I just bought just the seal itself. So I think they're like 25 bucks, something like that, with free shipping. All right, so what we're getting ready to do now, we're hooking up the throttle linkage to the VE pump. So this part right here, it's not tightened up yet, but this came directly off of the throttle body. Basically had to drill another hole in there, and it's going to mount just fine once I get it tightened up. And then also, I went ahead and took out the gas pedal cable, which is right there. I've got it over here on the bench. So this is it right here. Now, you know, we have to cut this sheathing off, and I was telling you we're going to have to be really careful about this cable so we don't cut this cable in two. But what works pretty good is go ahead and disconnect it from the gas pedal. This will go ahead and slide all the way out. And now all you have to do is mark your sleeve where you want to cut it, and then about a 1/2 inch back you're going to cut this rubber insulation off of this, and then you're going to put it all back together again. And then what you're going to do is then you can adjust wherever you want to cut your cable here to actually attach to the fuel pump, injector pump. So this here was currently on my truck, on the fuel pump. This was screwed onto the throttle lever. What I'm going to do is probably cut this off. I'm going to drill a hole in here, and then I've got some cable ferrules that I got from Lowe's that basically I'll be able to thread through and put it together. All right, so I took a cutoff wheel and I cut this off wherever length I needed. Took my utility knife and just trim that back. So now all we have to do is slide this cable up in there, from there, we're just going to take our end that goes on the truck side, pull that through, and then we're going to screw this thing on just like that. And we're going to be able to rehook this to the gas pedal. We'll get that in place. We'll get this locked in place in our throttle bracket, and then from there we can adjust how much cable we want and cut that off and put our aluminum ferrule on there, and then we've got total control from the gas pedal. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go over a little bit of my stuff that I think I kind of just need to touch a little bit more detail on. Number one is I do have everything done on my front accessories and serpentine belt. Just so everybody takes a look at that. I will show you the part numbers for these in a minute for the belt tensioner and also the belt. Okay. Number one is the radiator hose. The outlet is a little bit higher than the radiator fill. So to ensure that I got all of the air out of the system, I put this right here in. This right here sits above the radiator cap. I can take this out. Once I fill the radiator up, then I can come up here and go ahead and let all the air purge out of the system, and then just use a small funnel and fill it, or make sure I have all the air out of the system. Secondly, here's the this is for your radiator fans. That's the 200-degree kick on and 185 kick off for your temperature on your radiator fans. Number two, the hydro boost is finally done. Everything is correct and good to go. This is the bracket that holds the gas pedal on cable and is attached to the fuel pump. Now, as you guys are well aware of, if you are going to be putting like a quick shift 4 transmission control on it, you will need a throttle body. This is just temporary for right now. Just make sure everything's good on the drivetrain, engine, and transmission. Then I'll be wiring that in soon, okay? And changing up the cable a little bit. Back here in the back, I don't know if you can see this or not. Right there, that is the gauge cluster gauge for your temperature gauge. All right, that's screwed into the back of the head. One wire, that's the factory harness, factory sensor. Everything works fine there. On the Chevrolet 350, that would have been located about right here at the thermostat housing. Okay, that sensor that was in the thermostat housing for the Chevrolet 350, I did away with. It has a lot to do with your rich lean system, especially on warm up on a gas engine, which is you no longer need. This is your radiator hose. This little insulator sleeve was on one of the hydro boost lines. I took it off and put it on here just because of the fact that it runs close to the exhaust manifold. I just want to make sure it didn't get too hot. On the 6.5 diesel that you would order, or the 3/4 ton that you would order your hydro boost lines, it would be close to the exhaust manifold. That's why that was on there, so I just took it off and used it elsewhere. Okay, moving on to the exhaust. I didn't take a picture of it or show you before I put this thing on. I wish I would have. That's the downpipe. Okay, that's going to be your 2.5-inch exhaust pipe with your flange that I was talking to you about in a previous video. It's going to bolt directly up to your turbo with a V-band clamp. All right, directly on that, when it starts to straighten up down there, is where I put that. It's going to be just an adapter. It's going to go from 2.5-inch up to 3-inch, so you run a 3-inch pipe from there on. About right in here, if you can see that, probably can't. This is where I put my adapter in, right when it straightens out, and then from there down it goes to a 3-inch pipe. Now, this piece right here, you're going to need to get on eBay unless you live by an exhaust shop that does mandrel bends. Okay, this is going to be a 2.5-inch mandrel bend 90 tight. That's what you're going to need to order off of eBay It's going to give you exactly your clearance, and then all you have to do is cut back on your pipe to get your final clearance. Now with that, you got about 1.5 inches of clearance in between your exhaust downpipe and your firewall. On top of that, get on eBay, get you some header pipe insulator. It's a wrap type. You just wrap it around there, and then you can either use wire, or it comes actually with these stainless steel kind of like zip ties that go on there. It's the other night when we took this test truck out for the first time for a test drive, I brought it back in, shut the truck off. I was able to actually just touch my hand on this for a brief moment, and it didn't burn me. So stuff really works good. Keep a lot of heat off your exhaust and or off your firewall, and you should be good to go. Alright, so basically where I'm at now, I'm underneath the truck. This is going to be the down pipe coming down from the turbo. This is where I'd already switched over from the 2.5 to 3 inch. You're also going to need another 3-inch mandrel bend pipe off of eBay. It's going to get your nice tight bend that you need, and it's going to carry on over to where then you can tie in another piece of 3-inch pipe and carry on back to your exhaust and then your muffler. This is that 8-inch, or I think it's right at 8-foot piece of pipe I got at the local exhaust shop for 30 bucks. And I am not going to weld this. I am actually going to get a what you call a band clamp to put on that. It's going to seal it nice and tight, and if for some reason I ever have to take it back off, I can just take it off and it'll slide off to make any other adjustments that I need. Alright, hopefully you can hear me alright. It's pouring down rain outside, but this wire right here is what it's a 4 wire. I picked it up at Lowe's, or you can get it pretty much anywhere. It's just a really small diameter wire. 4 wire. This is what actually hooks into the transmission plug, which is back up there underneath that heat shield. That wire that you see there is a ground. That is what I have grounded, that goes directly up to my switches in the cab. And this is where I've got it run right now. I've got it run directly up in between the 2 driver's seat and passenger seat. It's going to take it directly up to the console up there, and that's where I'm going to be showing you where the switches are to do all your manual switching on your transmission. Alright, so what I've done here is this is the center console on the pickup truck on the inside. Now if you look at a standard console, most of them are wore out, broke, hinges are broke on there, doesn't work. So what I've done is right here, so I'm going to be making me a nice piece, probably with some aluminum diamond plate, or possibly get a nice piece of wood. Probably going to stain it gray and then put probably the symbol of a Cummins on there. I'm still going to have access to the little tray that goes underneath, but these are your switches. Most importantly, I was wanting to talk to you about. Okay, it's really simple, guys. You got your A shift solenoid that goes to your number 1 switch. You got your B shift solenoid that goes to your number 2 switch. And then if you remember me talking about the torque converter wire, it goes directly to this. So this is a 3-prong switch, 3-prong on each switch. You really just need a 2-prong, and that would do you just fine. You'd hook your A shift solenoid to this, and then to the other prong would be a ground, and that was down underneath. I showed you that was actually screwed into that. It's kind of like a heat shield. Number 2 switch would be your B shift solenoid, and then on the other prong would be the ground. The other switch is going to be your torque converter wire, and then your ground as well. Okay, the line represents the on, off. Okay, torque converter is off. This is so simple, guys, to shift. You put it in reverse, you back out just like you normally would. Neutral's normal. You put it in drive, and then that's when you start using your selectors. It's just like driving a stick shift without a clutch, basically. It's pretty cool. So give you an example. Put it in drive, you take off. This is in first gear. You get to whatever RPMs that you want to shift, you switch it. Now you're in second gear, okay? Now, then when you're getting ready to go to third gear, you shift it to third gear. And then once you're going to be going into fourth gear, then you shift this back just like that. That's fourth gear. Now, if you're cruising at 55, 60 miles an hour for a while and you want to lock up the torque converter and get your best fuel economy, no problem. Switch that. Now you've got total lock up torque converter and you're cruising down the road just like what you normally would on any automatic transmission or stick shift. Then when you want your torque converter off, flip it off. You're still in fourth gear. Now you're going to be going down to third gear. Now you're in second gear, first gear. And guys, it's just that simple. I'll give you an example. First, speed up, second gear. Speed up, third gear. Speed up, fourth gear. Speed up, cruising highway, interstate, whatever. Lock up torque converter and you're good to go. Then you go backwards with it. Torque converter off. Then you're going to go to, you're in fourth gear, go to third gear, second gear, first gear. Just like that. Probably the only thing I tell you, it almost drives like you do have a shift kit in there. It is a lot firmer shift just because you're running full line pressure the way the system is hooked up on your transmission. The only thing that you probably need to do is just let off the gas just a little bit before you shift, and you won't get you know, it just kind of lightens the shift for you. But besides that, it works great. Hope that works out for everybody. If you have any questions, just let me know.